Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm out here shooting my Definitive Arms 5.56 AK. Definitive Arms doesn't make this AK. What they make is this AR15 magazine well adapter that you see here. You'll also notice that this rifle locked open on the last shot fired, which is another function of this magazine adapter. Now the 5.56 AK is really the perfect AK for the American market. It marries the .223 or 5.56 caliber with the reliability of the AK. The only real downside to the 5.56 AKs is the fact that they use proprietary magazines, which are hard to find and can be very expensive. This magazine conversion allows you to use standard AR-15 magazines in your 5.56 AK and also adds some additional functionality that makes it work more like an AR-15. You can drop your magazine out, insert another magazine in, hit the bolt release, the rifle reloads, and it's ready to fire again. Let's take a closer look at this rifle. This rifle started off as just a standard Saiga import AK, had a traditional stock on it. The trigger needed to be relocated, it needed a pistol grip installed. So it was just a plain Jane Saiga AK that was ultimately converted into this rifle. Now Definitive Arms used to have a stock of just basic Saiga AKs that they could convert, but however with the craziness that's going on right now, you have to send your rifle in for this conversion. The conversion does modify the rifle permanently. This isn't a magazine conversion kit that you just pop in and take out. It permanently attaches to the receiver of the rifle and does require slight modification to that receiver. Now everything that you see here in this receiver area, or I'm sorry, the magazine well area, is all 4140 machined on a CNC machine. That includes the magazine well itself, all of the components including the magazine release, the magazine catch, the bolt release, and the bolt stop inside the receiver. So it's very, very durable. The rifle is also, as I said, converted, so it has just a standard stock on it, pistol grip, but Definitive Arms does complete AK conversions. You can have it converted to any configuration that you would like. Of course, the more work that you do, it costs more money. This rifle still has the heat shield up here on the gas tube. They did thread this barrel for me, and it has a standard AR-15 style threading on the barrel, so I can put right, as you can see here, an A2 flash hider, or I can screw on a standard suppressor, things like that. Anything that would fit an AR-15 style rifle. Now the finish of the rifle is really unique. It looks like a painted on finish, and that's what I thought it was at the beginning. However, it's not. It's a black dip parkerization process that's extremely durable. This isn't a standard parkerization, and it's a black parkerization that just really looks great on the rifle, and it's exceptionally durable. I've scratched it with brass rods and things like that. I'm able to rub out the damage very easily. It holds oil nicely. It's somewhat porous, but it's definitely better than a standard parkerization than a paint over park, which is a traditional AK type finish. I do like this black dip parkerization. It's good looking stuff. Let's talk about some of the features of the Definitive Arms conversion. First of all, we know the rifle locks the bolt open on the last round fired. When you want to reload the rifle, you stick a full magazine in, locks into place, and then over here on this side, you have a bolt release. You push up on that bolt release with your thumb, and it chambers the next round. Rifle locks open, you just push this button right here with your index finger, much like an AR-15, drops the magazine out, grab a fresh magazine, insert it into the rifle, hit the button, and resume firing. Works every time. One of the really interesting features of the rifle is all the components that Definitive Arms adds to the rifle. Many of those are optional. They're not required for the rifle to work properly. For example, if you should break a spring, which is a stainless steel spring, it's all high quality components, but if you should break a spring in the bolt hold or something like that, the rifle will still work without that spring present. As a matter of fact, you could break off the entire bolt hold mechanism and the rifle would still function as a standard AK. so it doesn't really impede the function of the rifle at all. However, I've fired a couple of thousand rounds to this rifle now, mostly Wolf ammunition, some 5.56, and I've had no problems with any parts breakage, any deformation of any of the parts, even the bolt hole inside the rifle. It's very, very beefy. Let's take a look inside the rifle at some of these parts that Definitive Arms installs. First of all, that's the bullet guide right there. It's made out of 4140 steel, and it's riveted in with several thousand pounds of force in true AK fashion. Now take a look at that little divider in there. That keeps the rounds lined up with the chamber as they feed. They can't get out of alignment with the chamber as they're being pushed in by the bolt. It's kind of a proprietary setup, and it looks really cool and seems to work very well. I've had no issues with feeding whatsoever. Back here, this is the bolt hold. Look at the size of that thing. I'm pushing it up with the bolt release tab. That thing is massive. Again, 4140 steel, and there's no way in the world I think you're going to bend that. You can see some wear marks on the top of it right there. That's just because I put several thousand rounds through it. No failures to work whatsoever. There is a stainless steel spring. You can see it's in there that pushes it back down. If that spring breaks, again, it's not going to cause the rifle any functioning issues whatsoever. If you try to fire it upside down without that spring in there, you might get a false lock, but that's about it. Otherwise, you know, there's not much you can do to break this thing, and if it did break, it's not going to interfere with the functioning of the rifle at all. Another thing that they do when they're refinishing the rifle, this is the bolt carrier. It has the same black dip parkerization process done to it. During that process, they pull this gas piston off, they refinish the bolt and carrier, and then they put a mil-spec pin back in there and put it all back together. Again, this thing is really, really well built, lots of quality parts, and everything seems to fit just perfectly in the rifle. Overall, I'm very pleased with the Definitive Arms conversion of this AK. Now, I've never been a real big fan of 5.56 AKs, mostly because the magazines are impossible to find and they're expensive when you could find them. Now that this rifle uses standard AR15 magazines, and I've standardized on the P-mags for pretty much all of my 5.56 rifles, it's really a game changer for me, and this is now my favorite AK to shoot. Not only that, you have the functionality of an AR15. Not only can you use its magazines, but you can also lock the bolt open on the last shot fired. You have a quick bolt release. It makes magazine changes much more quick. It's just an outstanding rifle. And like I said, it's one of my favorite AKs to shoot right now. So now you're asking yourself, how much does it cost? Well, first of all, this is a basic Sega AK conversion. If you do that, you strip down your basic Sega AK, you send it to Definitive Arms, you're looking at about $350 just to have the magazine well installed. If you do anything else to the rifle, they are a full custom AK shop, like thread the barrel or have the black dip parkerization done, change out the stock configuration, it will cost a little bit more. The rail system that you see here on this rifle is something that I installed. It's a Midwest Industries rail system with a burst fast fire red dot sight. I didn't have Definitive Arms install that. So anyway, if you want to have the conversion done, about $350 to start off with, and it just goes up from there depending on what other stuff you have done to it. You can also have it done to other 5.56 AKs. They don't just do it to Sega AKs. If you have something else like a Norinco or some other rifle like that that's 5.56, right now they're focusing on Sega AKs, but in the future they'll get around to doing those conversions for other 5.56 rifles, so you'll want to be sure to contact them and ask them when and how much it would cost to have your rifle converted if it's not a Sega. If you guys have any other questions about this rifle, you can always ask those questions on our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/military arms. Also, be sure to check out the link to Definitive Arms website, which I will put down in the description below. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for the subs. We'll talk to you guys soon. If there's one thing that AKs like more than sand and dirt, that's snow. Now, I've packed this thing full of snow. I do have to make way for the hammer to fall and hit the firing pin. Just have to clean it out just a little bit. Let's see if it works. Locks open. Gotta love AKs.